Good evening, everyone. I'm Project Aletheia. Thank you for joining me tonight. We have an interesting clip that I want to play for you guys. It was based off of Nick Fuentes going to Miami this weekend and was on the Fresh and Fit podcast. They called it, interestingly enough, the Nick and Fit podcast. But this one is really interesting. Basically, Nick brings up this really interesting point. It's almost as if it would have been better off for young men on the right had Kamala Harris won, because then there might have actually been some hope for 2028, certainly 2026 midterms, so on and so forth. But there's something about being in power, and there's something about the standards of which you have to conduct, and everybody else is kind of chasing you. The expectation of everyone else is to chase you, and you're the guy who's on top. And what ends up happening is that, well, let's step back. In the last video I did, we talked about how the Groypers, all right, the Nick's followers, are basically suppressed all throughout the culture, right? Their Nick's videos are getting squashed all over the place, which is why I don't put his face on any of this stuff. I will have stuff running in the background occasionally here and there, but nothing that would, I don't think, get me any copyrights or so on and so forth. I'm hoping not, at least. But Nick really brings up some good points here, and we're going to listen to it, and he's going to talk about why he thinks it might have been a better idea that Kamala Harris actually won, would have been better for everybody, because of look at what happened underneath Joe Biden. And as soon we're going to play this clip here, and then I'll make some comments, all right?
With the conflict. But yeah, dude, I think this is going to be very bad for Trump when it comes to what's going on with the midterms. I mean, I think obviously we're going to lose, but but it's not just a loss. It's like a loss, and I think they're going to be out for blood.
You know? Oh yeah. Well, and that's really the whole thing. Is I said this even to Tucker. It's one of the few things we agreed on. Is when Trump does a half measure, even by winning, all you're doing is pissing off the other side. Because think about it, if Kamala had won in 2024. She would have no mandate. She would have no legitimacy. Everybody would think the election was rigged. Even Democrats wouldn't like her because they believed that she was basically a usurper. She didn't even win the Iowa caucus. She didn't make it to the Iowa caucus in 2020. She bowed out before even the first race. So she would be looked at as like this puppet who was installed, not popular, not legitimate, no mandate, and the culture had shifted to the right under Biden. Think about under Joe Biden, people need to literally just get this through their heads. It's not always a bad thing when the enemy is in charge. Under Biden, Elon bought Twitter. Censorship got better. Zuckerberg moved to the right. He got his afro, he got his chain, he's wakeboarding on the 4th of July. What's more, it's like wokeism basically died under Biden. You had fuck Joe Biden go viral. The culture moved to the right. We benefited from that. And why? Because when you're in the opposition, you get so much more leeway. When you're in power, the pressure's on. You got to be competent. You got to be effective. You got to present a positive vision. And you have to deal with all the contradictions of governing. You're pro-Palestine, but you got to deal with Israel. Biden was getting squeezed to the benefit of the right. Think about how much more powerful the right got from 2020 to 2024. Yeah. So much more powerful. And if the Democrats had stayed in, they would have been flaccid. Now that Democrats are looking very strong in 2028, they're coming back with a vengeance because everyone's pissed at Trump. Everyone's got a reason. From the Massey stuff to the Epstein files, Iran, the bureaucratic incompetence / corruption, every way, the inflation, every way you cut it, the Democrats are going to be empowered by being negative. And now that we've had 4 years of Trump basically messing everything up, now they're going to come back with literally with a vengeance.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because me in my personal life, when I found the red pill, or at least I found Rollo Tomassi and his crew, I got him playing back here. It's been about 7-8 years going on now. Yeah, about 7 years of me looking into intersexual dynamics, the red pill community, reading Rollo Tomassi's The Rational Male series. I've read through 3 of them, the first, the fourth, and now the sixth one I'm reading through. I read through bits and pieces of the second, but I really wanted to. This was a period of time in my life where I knew I was going to go and start a family, and I really wanted to make that my solid core. My household, I had to learn this. I had to develop the tools to make sure that in my house, I was the guy whom was able to hold his frame, whom was the man of the house, so on and so forth. That's what the red pill has done for me. It's been my own secret. It's been basically my own superpower that I've kind of kept to myself for the last 6-7 years, going on 8 now. Now I'm to the point where I'm like, dude, everything is so good. I developed my career over, and this happened all throughout. Remember, like, I got a hold of it right at the end, like towards going into the COVID, and then COVID happened, and then Trump got kicked out, and then under Joe Biden, I was able to grow my career. And, I think the point of this is to help young men and men in general realize that smart men don't allow all the noise to get to their head. Don't allow all the politics and all the BS. You still have a responsibility to level up, and that's what Nick Fuentes, he encourages his groypers, his followers. These are young men who are basically going to hide their power levels. They're not going to let on to just how much they know about things, and that's what he does. And most people see all the highlights and the viral reels and all the jokes that he says, but really over the course of the last almost 10 years with Nick, and I've been following him since probably 2018, 2019, on and off. I was on, and then I like I said, I focused on intersexual dynamics for my own personal gain. Now I've come back a little bit, especially after October 7th in 2023. And here we are. He has a constant theme, right? There's an underlying message that he's always saying. It's a very serious message, and it's a grand strategy. It's a grand strategy for the society. It's a grand strategy for not just the society, but for men's personal lives. Society is only as good as the men that live in it, and that's what he's doing. That's who his audience is. That's why the groypers are so frowned upon, even from like the Republicans. Look at the Democrats. Look at how much youthful energy they have going on right now. You can have all types of protests. You can protest ICE. You can protest all these different things, and you'll never lose your job. But if you get up there and you talk about red pill stuff, you talk about groyper stuff, you talk about, certain group of people and their supremacy or their disproportionate levels of power in government, you really will get in trouble. And that's because the groypers have, and I think that this is what's really important, they have a long-term grand strategy that's going to take a couple decades. And it's really that persecution, if you would. It's sort of like a little secret society. They're underground for the most part. Now, I'm 45 years old. I'm a little bit older. This is kind of a little bit past me, but still, nonetheless, I consider myself as a xenial, the bridge in between helping explain what the boomers did to us and the kind of atmosphere or the kind of society that these young men, the Gen Zers and even younger than them, what they're going to be coming into. That's kind of my job, and that's really what my book's going to be about. It's going to be about connecting the bridge, being the bridge, connecting the young with the old. It's not going to be for boomers, but it's going to explain to young people what happened and how we got here and what needs to happen moving forward. And the big part is going to be leveling up. That's really the point of this thing. The young men need to level up. They need to not be discouraged. They need to basically understand that nobody cares. They have to work harder. You have to take your own side. Just like Nick always says, if you look at the thumbnail on this video, I have it on my wall here. I was able to turn it into an AI thumbnail with a Pittsburgh theme, and representing grit, representing also where I live in Western PA, but also it's like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we need to happen as young men. Let me continue this clip, but the bottom line is you're not going to be able to trust politicians. Look at how well I did really well under Joe Biden. Society seemed to do pretty good. Everything seemed to be moving nicely. I mean, it really wasn't. Look at what a tragedy it's been since Trump's been in office. I mean, now he's backpedaling all this types of stuff. It's only the boomers who are making money, those who have capital. The young people are still screwed. And we're sitting here. I think now the debt is only 14 years away from like irreparable damage. And now because of the war, it's basically taking the national debt, and it's putting us more in a hole, so that now it was affecting 30-year-olds. Now it's going down to 25, 20-year-olds. Could get as low as 18 if this war had continued, which it looks like it actually might. But hold that thought. Let's just finish up this clip here, and then I'll comment, and then we'll be done.
And they're going to have a mandate. It's going to be like Zoran Mamdani.
Yeah.
Instead of, lame Kamala, it's going to be somebody more hardcore.
He's reinvigorating the Democrat Party, and it's actually like when he won mayor, I was like, yep, this guy's going to be. He's going to revolutionize the Democrat Party. They're going to move from your establishment Democrats like a Chuck Schumer or Hillary, Obama. Now they're going to go into socialism, and that's what we're seeing.
Trump is like our Biden.
Yeah.
In the sense that, right?
Point. Yeah. Because good point.
Biden is old.
Yeah.
Biden is old and demented and, and weak and incompetent. And, by putting him in and he's a joke, they supercharge the right wing. Trump is having the same effect. He's old, demented, incompetent. He's tapped. There's nothing new coming out of the MAGA movement. The movement's basically over. It's super corrupt.
It's all boomers.
Corrupt.
All
It's having the
boomers.
same effect. It's supercharging the left. And here's the problem: is okay, so there's clearly an appetite for younger, energetic, populist leadership from outside the system. And now the left is basically going to benefit from this advantage of coming in from the outside. Like in 28, they get to be the outsiders that say, oh, look, are you fatigued with Trump? Are you fatigued with the Republican Party? We have the young offering. We have the young, energetic, Israel-critical, anti-establishment, economically populist offering. They actually are in the advantage by being the challenger this time around. And I think that I'm very insistent about this. If Kamala had won, we would be in a stronger position at 28 than we are now.
We would be. And let me...
There it is. If Kamala had won, we would be in a stronger advantage point. Also, if Kamala had won and all this war had happened, everybody on the right would have been throwing a total. Would have been like, oh, this is a conspiracy. Clearly, she's a puppet. They would have been talking about her earrings. Remember the earrings that apparently were vibrating noise into her head as she was talking? I mean, he's right. We probably would have then. The Republicans are about to lose. I say we. I don't really identify as a Republican or Democrat or anywhere in the middle for that matter. I would identify as a Christian red pill grandfather-like figure to the Groypers. I have 3 young children that I'm raising in a world that they're about to inherit from the boomer generation. As the boomer generation leaves, it's like, here I am in 2026, and I have to be in the top 10 to 15% of all income earners just to live like your average boomer in the 1990s. All right, that's actually backed up by facts. You could check out my Twitter page, Project Aletheia, and I always post videos everywhere. It gets me shadow banned, and I don't get any traction. But if you guys want to go in and check it out, I give lots of good stuff there. You could also check out my Instagram. But I do a lot of... I slowed down with the Instagram. I got shadow banned there, and I got taken off the platform, dude. I had gone to 950 followers in less than in 2.5 weeks, and then I got taken off. And I've been dropping ever since, but I'm hoping to bring that back. I'm not going to give up on that. But anyway, man, yeah, we would almost been better off. Let's just finish this piece up, because he's going to talk about guys like Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn, and how now, going into the 2024, those guys were talking about Trump, and there was motivation. They had the young people. Now those guys have completely left the MAGA movement. The MAGA is just a bunch of old people literally looting our future. Let's do this.
let me actually add to what, because as you were talking about the left getting stronger, you're right. Look at these No Kings protests, dude. Thousands upon thousands of people. Look at Antifa. They're becoming more violent.
Yep.
They're acting crazier. They're actually like in New Jersey. They were protesting against ICE for weeks in front of the thing. Like, oh, there's not even things here. We're gonna go ahead and complain in New Jersey, getting into fights. The BLM has been a bit more active with them protesting. Look at what happened with Carmelo Anthony, right? And then also with Antifa. I've been saying this forever. Like, it's crazy to me how like it took Charlie Kirk getting shot for like the Trump administration to finally like take Antifa seriously and make them a terrorist organization.
Right.
I'm still waiting for them to make BLM a terrorist organization. They should make them that organization as well. And yeah, man, they've just been like out radical. And then like it's like the left already is totally cool with like protesting, hitting the streets, the Free Palestine movement. Look at what they're doing. They're protesting like every other day in New York City. So it's like, you're right, dude. They're getting more powerful. Like you look at
100%.
all they're pissed. And
really
Like
pissed.
you said yesterday, I did not know that they were able to knock on 1.8 million doors.
Yeah. Well, and
That's insane.
think
For
about
a mayor.
1.8 million doors for a mayor of New York City. That's how energized
to
the
be
youth
fair, though,
is.
that's like hyper left New York. They're all
Sure,
out there.
sure.
But it
But it
does
shows that they're-
demonstrate the energy, and when it comes.
It does demonstrate the energy, and yes, it is hyper New York, but also, Nick, and he knows this, that every city is Democrat-led. I mean, look at the BML riots that happened in 2020. 34 cities were destroyed, billions of dollars. Not completely destroyed, but certain parts of the city, billions of dollars worth of damage, all types of conspiracy theories. Nobody stopped that. Nobody stopped. So when the left and their youth get angry, things happen. When the right get angry, we stay silent and we secretly hide our power levels, which is what we're doing now, and we go and we build careers in a very secretive like fashion, almost like a secret society, which is really interesting. I will one day talk about the neo-Masonic, yes, I said Masonic, neo-Masonic elements of the Groyper movement, and where that comes from, where the America First comes from. It actually comes from the America First Committee going back into the early 1900s underneath Henry Ford, Charles Lindbergh, Avery Brundage, Eddie Rickenbauer. This was the daughter of Teddy Roosevelt. If you know anything, you can look up those names. Those are all Freemasons, ironically. And I tried messaging Nick one time and on his show and asked him, I said, hey, man, what do all these people have in common? He's like, I have no idea. Didn't even bother, but there are. I know this is crazy. The people on the right are going to go absolutely ape shit for me saying this, but you have to understand where a lot of this this is a neo. I said Masonic, but also a neo-America First movement. It's a throwback to pre-World War II. Very interesting stuff. Let's finish this up.
To Trump, for me,
Are we on Kick, guys? Get off everything. YouTube, yeah. Go, guys, come on over to kick.com/SmartGainsX. We're getting off everywhere except for Kick, and then you can keep the Rumble up too. That's fine. Sorry, go ahead.
We're on Rumble. We're watching it on
is
Rumble.
like the podcast bros. Joe Rogan, Tim Dillon, Theo Von, these kinds of guys, like that kind of gives you an insight into the mind of maybe like a normie, like average person.
Good point.
If Trump has lost Rogan and Tim Dillon and these guys, then what's your constituency going to be in 2028? It isn't there. And I think there's going to be an appetite for like a left winger. I don't even think they'll be that radical, but they're going to promise like economic populism, back to
Why our system hides natural remedies for swollen legs.
This simple trick is transforming lives.
Oh, that's funny. I haven't seen actually a commercial. Here we go.
stuff. It's going to be just enough. And like if Trump were going to be successful, to your point about Antifa, the only way that Trump would have been effective and worth it for him to hold office these 4 years is if he did a few things. Like one, he should be protecting right-wingers on social media and in banking.
He's not.
That's the move. How do you ensure that like the right wing will even exist and get more radical? You make sure they don't get banned on social media ever again.
With this, he did an executive order on like freedom of speech or whatever, but like
It's bullshit.
done nothing.
Yeah,
It's
no,
done
you need
nothing.
legislation, and they should have done that, and they should have done something
Totally
against
weak.
banking.
It actually grew. The freedom of right-wing expression grew under Joe Biden. How do you like them apples? Under Trump, because he's now the top dog, the left became more aggressive. The platforms became more aggressive. it's really an interesting dynamic. It's really worth listening to what Nick's talking about here. It's like sociology mixed with psychology, but it's like understanding the tides of time. I can explain. It's late. It's past midnight. Understanding where the culture is going. All right, it's like kind of like the Old Testament prophets. They could kind of read the sands of time is what I'm thinking of. They're really good at that. And they were able to go, this is, to a certain extent, I would imagine it was definitely the Holy Spirit that was leading that. Of course, Ortho Bros, don't kill me on that. Obviously, the Holy Spirit was inspired that. But it's also through the wisdom that God would have naturally given these men to have the ability to see the bigger picture. That's what made prophets prophetic like. To a certain extent, of course, like I said, don't kill me, Ortho Bros. It was definitely the Holy Spirit. Let's finish this up.
And they should have found a way to get right-wing people as sinecure in government. Like, all these left-wing activists are funded by NGOs through the State Department. You've got National Endowment for Democracy and stuff like that. All the NGOs, that's basically a funnel to get that money into left-wing activist organizations. Like Atlantic Council is funded by the military. They pay guys like Jared Holt to call me a white nationalist on Twitter. It's like, so you should be creating institutions to be a sinecure and actually incubate the far right in the way that the far left has been incubated by the State Department. So,
Doge. This is Hassan Biker. He's out here doing interviews with Mamdani and everything, and he's as far left as you want. Crazy far left. They support him still.
Yeah, exactly.
No censorship, nothing.
So they should have gotten rid of the censorship, the debanking. They should have been funding the right wing. Yep. And then on the other side, they should have been breaking the back of the left-wing institutions, breaking the back of Antifa, their organization networks. They should have been going after, arguably some of the left-wing billionaires, the foreign financing for this stuff. That should have been the move. But, it's like Trump just doesn't think like, getting back to it, he's just not a political mind. He's a business mind.
Right.
So for him, it's like, can you point to some policy wins? So, sure, okay, yeah, they got rid of some of the DEI. Oh, okay, great. They closed the border. That's fine. Is that actually going to change the country? No. Does it change our political prospects? No. Those are the big ones. So that's why Trump's a total failure.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, we'll leave it at that. Trump is a total failure. Yeah, he did close the border. He wasn't able to do any mass deportations, but the border opens right back up. He never built the wall. He didn't want to build the wall. I don't care what people say. I mean, there's maybe like a quarter of the border where Texas is and in between us and Mexico. Maybe a quarter of it, maybe a third of it were built. A lot of people like to point that there was some wall built, but there's going to be. I remember the borders are going to be open right back up if the Democrats get into power. They want that. They love that. The walls are not going to be maintenanced. There's only so much private contractors can do. This is really the end of the MAGA movement. This needs to be a wake-up call for young men. Remember, nobody's coming out to save you, man. Nobody cares. You got to work harder. You got to level up. You got to take your own side, man. And that's pretty much all I got for you. Check out my thumbnail. Oh, this show is after this show at 10 o'clock is going to be my America First pregame, so check that out. This show is premiering, and you should have seen it by now. You would have known. Premiered at 9 o'clock on Monday. What's the date? Monday the 29th. It is Monday. All right, so technically I am filming this on Monday, but this is going to come out on the 29th, Monday today at 9 p.m., and then the America First pregame show, which I already have uploaded and ready to roll, is going to be coming on at 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock, right after this show. So stay tuned, be on the lookout for it. What do we have here? 24, almost 25 minutes. That's all I got for you guys. Peace. I appreciate you.